Hi, this is Seda Abreu from Family and Union LLC. Welcome to my podcast, Kristen.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Would you like to introduce yourself today?
Sure. My name is Kristen Ramsey. I'm the executive director of Thrive Collaborative. I'm also a BCBA. I did some coaching with Ada and her family. And then I am a mom of a little 2-year-old. And I'm expecting one more in March, which I don't think I've told you, Ada. Surprise.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow, that's amazing news. Um,
Thanks.
so tell me about the coaching and the tech classes. In this case, we used the Vuzix classes. What did you think of it?
I think I'll start with kind of the format of them. I was really impressed with how non-intrusive they were, how they weren't super obvious. That's pretty important when you're talking about working with individuals who don't want any additional stigma on themselves. You know, some kids aren't going to care if they're wearing space glasses. Other kids are going to care about if they look different than their peers or other people in their environment. And it was really cool that they developed something that was so normalized so that it isn't as obvious that somebody is walking around with some kind of adaptive software or hardware to work on skills in the community. And then in terms of the coaching piece of it and the implications for working on skills, especially in the community, it is an incredible resource and has so much potential to be life-changing for therapy. It allows, obviously, excuse me, it allows access to environments you wouldn't usually be able to observe or coach through without it being really obvious that there was another adult there, another person there, kind of whispering in the kid's ear. So it allows to kind of be that silent observer or silent coach, depending on what you're working on, in social skills groups, in navigating a community setting, and safety skills like community walks. Obviously, with the safety stuff, you'd want an adult in proximity for safety until those skills are acquired. But there really are a lot of implications just in being able to provide coaching in an environment you wouldn't usually be able to without it being really obvious, as well as the implications of impacting more families who aren't in your demographic area. So we are in Denver, and we were able to provide coaching across the country, even people who live in rural areas or people who have to commute for an hour to get to their coaching session would benefit from having some kind of tool like this to supplement the coaching. And then the last thing was just kind of the barriers around tech. It was a little bit tricky, as Ada is aware, to get through the Wi-Fi type of stuff, making sure that you have that uninterrupted access when in a community setting, as well as the sound was tricky. So we adapted to kind of a debrief after and priming before. So we were able to talk about what things we are going to focus on during this practice session at the grocery store. And then we were able to talk about after what went well and what to work on for next time. That was because it was really hard to hear overall the ambient noise of a grocery store, a really busy place. So I don't know if there were modifications of earbuds. Also super socially normalized to have earbuds while you're grocery shopping. So those are some things that people could play with and see if it might be a little bit more accessible.
Yes, in my other podcast, we talk about the authentication steps. So,
Mm-hmm.
your company uses Microsoft Teams because it's HIPAA compliant. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's a good thing that these tech classes, Vuzix, they use Microsoft Teams because they are very involved in the healthcare industry. Um, and yes, once I was able to get through those steps, we logged in and he was able to see you on his lenses, and now he has prescription lenses. He could see you through that, and then I could also see you on my screen. So I
Yeah.
could see exactly where he was in the store. If he needed any assistance, the caregiver and I were there. If we needed to drop everything and be there, we were like very close. And then you were there coaching him and watching him. Um, I remember there was a time that he put in my phone number and you were impressed because he was able to get the rewards. And then there was
Yeah.
another time about the pineapple situation. Tell me about that.
Um, yeah, so first I want to mention the parent coaching component that you spoke to. That's another area that if you wanted to mute the glasses and kind of have it more oriented to a parent coaching session, let's say this is something that the family wants to work on independently, but they want my initial insight on areas to focus on. It can be a facilitated parent coaching session, which is really helpful when you have that hybrid model of coaching. And then remind me what happened with the pineapple?
They,
They charged him.
yeah.
Yeah. So one of the cool things that when you are able to get a true baseline, so in our work, oftentimes your baseline is being right there and observing what they do. And there's going to be some kind of bias of there being another person there. When you're being observed, you're kind of like, okay, I'm going to do my best work. And there will still be a little bit of that with the glasses, but it felt much more natural about how he would navigate that scenario without an adult right there. And so one of the cool things that came out of it were the things we didn't know that he would think to do or identify or self-advocate for. And one of them was he was watching every single time something was charged. And when they gave the final balance, he looked up and he said, "You overcharged me for a pineapple and I don't have a pineapple." And was able to identify that. They were able to fix it. And that was something that I didn't have as part of the plan. That wasn't something I really thought about. I feel like it's pretty rare that a grocery store randomly charges you for something not on your belt. And the fact that he did that, one, helped me as a coach to be like, that's a good step to add. But it also was cool to see how he could problem solve in the moment and identify those things without coaching or without talking about it.
Yes, this is why I did that in this scenario because normally in that situation it would be very hard for me to handle that. What do I do in that situation? How's he gonna react? But
Mm-hmm.
you being there, you know, in the
Yeah.
virtually, like, and just seeing how he problem solved it, and if he needed assistance at that moment, just talking to him, that that was so helpful and so easy. There was a situation where he was trying to buy something, a gift card, I believe, and he got really upset. Tell us a little bit about that when there was a little challenge in one of the, because we did this a few times. Tell us
Yeah.
about
So
that.
I think setting really good boundaries and expectations ahead of time when you're trying something new is important. So in this situation, he was using his own money for this exercise, and Ada said, "I'll pay you back for the groceries. Let's just use your own money in your wallet and practice." Well, by using his own money, he felt he had the autonomy to buy whatever he wanted in that moment. And that was not part of the plan. And so it became a little bit of a power struggle, at checkout where he was really wanting to purchase something with his money for himself, which I imagine historically, when he goes into a store with his money, the plan is you can buy something that you want with your own money. So there was a little bit of a hiccup there that, had we have talked about it ahead of time, we're pretending like this is your mom's money. This isn't your money. Had we have done some priming like that, I think it could have cleared it up. So yeah, there's always a risk when you don't have an adult right there about an individual taking a little bit more of that initiative to do things that maybe you wouldn't agree with. Maybe they impulsively buy some candy or they impulsively want to buy something because they know they have the money left over. So really setting some ground rules and boundaries before starting this coaching where you don't have an adult right there to support is probably a good idea.
Yes, well, that was a great coaching session. Thank you so much. We did like 4 or 5 grocery shopping sessions, and
Mm-hmm.
he started from, not knowing what to do, like getting a cart or how to put the things on the belt. So now he's an absolute professional shopper. Now, We go down the
Yeah.
lanes and I'll tell him, go get me the pasta, go get me the sauce. And he does it and I'm confident. So it was amazing, the coaching. So thank you so much for helping him with that and all these years of, you know,
Yeah.
the coaching.
It was really fun. And the reason that this was so valuable is because as kids get older, they need to learn these skills. And it's really hard sometimes to get a therapist or a coach or a support person in the community to teach skills to kids who maybe need some more individualized coaching. And so this affords that opportunity where you don't have to find somebody who's willing to go all over the place for all of these different experiences. It can be a coaching session like this that still teaches that skill and sets that individual or that child up for success. So it was cool. It was fun.
Yes, I feel like I learned a lot. My husband watched the videos afterwards after he came from work, and then he learned from it too, and the caregiver also.
Yeah.
So, I hope this was helpful to many communities that are looking to be experts at the shopping list.
I know. I'm excited to see how this evolves across more than just grocery shopping and to see how other companies or other organizations or other coaches partner with this type of technology so that, those barriers that we currently experience by proximity or just, logistics of time of day and, scheduling and all of that are no longer a big issue because you have an alternative that affords the opportunity to coach in the moment.
Yes, you've pretty much been his coach since he was a toddler. So, and we're a military family. We move all over the place. So,
Yeah,
different time zones and everything. I'm just glad that he was able to continue getting this coaching regardless of where we were stationed.
yeah, me too.
Well, it was a pleasure to have you in my podcast. I hope you come again.
Of course, anytime. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.